Everybody, my name is Steve Drost. With me, as always, Will Kaplan. Of course, Will and I are both from the Quivr CRM team. Quivr, our entire mission is how can we help you, advisors, run their firms at peak efficiency. Will, you've known me long enough now to know that if there is a button, I want to push that.
And Steve, I also known you long enough now that this is one of your favorite buttons to push.
This is my favorite button to push. I also, and I'm a little sad to say this, I think it might be one of the most underutilized features in Quivr. Whether that's true or not probably has more to do with in maybe how much I think it should be used, because I think it should be everybody's favorite feature and it should be used by everybody all of the time, every single day. But hey, I got to pick my battles, right? And I don't always get what I want, unfortunately. But no, the button we're talking about today is what we call the calendar view. And when I say calendar view, I'm not talking about your calendar and Outlook. I'm not talking about your meeting schedule and what you're doing for the day and when your dentist appointment is. No, no, no. We're talking about the calendar view that displays all of your processes, which process in Quivr is an automation, where it displays all of your processes in a calendar view.
Yeah, and this really is pretty powerful, not only from a what work is coming up and what I'm about to get, hit with, but it's also the when is all of this stuff happening and am I getting too busy or am I putting too much work on other people's plates? There's a lot of functionality here. I mean, I remember one of the reasons that I got started with Salesforce was wanting to interact with clients on a monthly basis and feeling like I was struggling to come up with how am I going to keep track of all of it and how am I going to remind myself to do it. And this is that as well. I mean, this is one of the really nice things about this calendar view is, to your point about it's looking at what processes are firing on particular dates and which ones are at a specific cadence, whether that's weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly, but like you get to see all of it in one place, which is so powerful.
Yeah, for me, the whole root of this feature is I run a small firm. It's me and my mom. I mean, and everything stops with me, right? Anything that doesn't happen correctly is my fault, and anything that goes great is because of her, right? And that's fine. Like I'm a huge Jocko Willink fan. Extreme ownership, it is my fault, and I love that. I'm wired that way. But think about all of the things that I need to do on some sort of a recurring basis to run that firm. Every week, right? We got to do some sort of drift reporting and make sure that our clients are in line with their investments, make sure no cash came in that isn't invested, make sure our QuickBooks is getting reviewed, right? All of these things. We need to, what else do we need to do? You know what? Oh, I could probably rattle things off from my calendar view, Will. We need to every Monday look at the drift report, do our QuickBooks. On Wednesdays, my mom runs a drifting report. On Friday, if there's anything on that drifting report that needs action, I have to get it done by Friday. The first of the month, I got to do my monthly gifting report. The third of the month, we got to get Schwab statements to Black Diamond. And I have one client who wants a monthly report. The fifth of the month, we do our client memo. First of the quarter, she's got like 8 things that she has to do. I'm not even going to bore you with those. The 10th of the month, we do our quarterly compliance refresher, or 10th of the quarter, I'm sorry, quarterly compliance refresher, quarterly personal transaction reports. I have 15 things that get kicked off on the first of the year. My CFP review, my CFP CE, my Minnesota and Wisconsin CE, my surge workflow kicks up in July. My I could go on and on and on. I think I have about 65 things, Will. 65 things
Well,
that have to happen on a somewhat of a calendar cadence.
and the one that I love that you mentioned was that you've got your CE in there, which I think is
100%.
such a great idea. I mean, I watch the XYPN Facebook group. I mean, I'm in that community, and I can't tell you how many advisors are like, I need 10 more hours in 2 days. Where do I go to get this? Like, how do I solve this problem? And it's an easy thing to put off. You don't think about it during the year, right? It's not top of mind,
So my
but being able
CE
to
is
have
CFP CEs too due, and mine's in October. Is everybody's October, or is that just me? I don't know.
no, I think the CFP-CE is based on when you like it's like your annual anniversary or something like
Well, I'm
that. I think
October.
they're all different, but yeah.
That's my surge. No way in heck am I doing my CFP ECE. So my CFP, my Minnesota and my Wisconsin CE workflows all get kicked off on June 15th. And do you want to know why? June and July are cabin months. I'm in the
Mm,
car a ton. When we drive
perfect
to the
time.
cabin, it's a 3 to 4 hour drive to my in-laws' house. I knock out CE while my wife drives and my kids sleep. Kid you not. That is why that gets kicked off in June, because I'm going to be in the car for 20 to 30 hours in those 2 months. Like, I'm not joking. I do my CE in the car, and I know I do that. But, obviously this is, I gave a huge data dump of all of these things. I'm talking really, really fast intentionally just to get through this long, 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 long list. But if you were to take a step back and reflect on your business, I would argue you have two key people that you have to serve. The first is your regulators, in your business, right? You got to make sure you get done. You got to check those boxes of the things that your regulators need. And that's a lot of that, maybe a lot of those things maybe cross exist or coexist with the second people you have to keep happy with, which are your clients. But you just have to do these things. And a lot of the work that we do for our clients are driven by the calendar. You want to meet with them on a calendar basis. You want to, RMDs have to be done by the end of the year. These things just have to be done on a calendar basis. I have a niche of clients who work for the same Fortune 500 company. They're all executives. They're all on the same compensation schedule. June is bonus time. July is RSU and SOs vesting time. November is deferred comp decision. I just want to know that, right?
And as much as we have all of those things due for our clients, we have all that stuff due for our business too. I have to renew my LLC. I have to, contribute money to my 401k, or I have to, file some stuff with my payroll provider, or, the tax stuff that I mean, like, all of that stuff is on a timeline as well and has to be done for the business. And it's so easy to forget that stuff. And, what I think is both amazing and also hilarious about you rattling off the list is like, you can go to the list and you can see, here's everything that we do. I'm not going to forget it. I can just go down the list.
Exactly, exactly. So what I'm going to do now is actually share my screen. I'm going to show you a dummy version, of this. Will, right now you should be able to see a Quivr one. Am I highlighting monthly gifting report? Am I in the right one?
Yep, that looks
Perfect.
perfect.
Perfect. I did that right. Sometimes I don't do that right, so that makes me feel good. But what we're looking at right now is a tab on the Quivr homepage. So for those of you that are Quivr users, if you go to your homepage, you're going to see a couple options here, and the default option is the second tab says processes. And the processes tab just simply shows you two things: a list in the calendar view, which is what we're talking about today, of everything that you have set to run on a calendar basis. If you scroll down a little bit, it shows you date-driven processes, which are things like tell me when a client's birthday is coming up or a life insurance policy is maturing or something. So very, very, very important, but not applicable to today's conversation. If you do not have this, remember the homepage is customizable. Go ahead, click edit homepage, and you can come down here, right? Just like processes, it has your processes overview. You can add this, you can remove it, you can do whatever you'd like, but I highly recommend that you have that. Upon close, it'll refresh based on anything that you did. And we are always one click to this. So Will, you made the comment earlier, like you can see everything on one screen. When I'm logged into Drost Financial, I see all 60 or 70 of those things in one screen. So if I'm curious, wait, when do I have to do my CFPCE? Oh, duh, June 15th, right there. I'm going to get that workflow. It's January. I don't have to worry about that now. I'll get it in 6 months, and Quivr will tell me it's time to do that. Um, but the whole concept of this is, I say it quite a bit. Whiteboard the things that you need to do or the things you want to do. Whiteboard it. And once you do that, you simply have to do two things. Create your how, right? How you're going to do something, which is a workflow. So how are you going to do your drift reporting? What do you want that to look like? How are you going to do your monthly gifting report? Make your workflow. But once you do that, these processes are just wins. When do you want to do these things? Or when do you have to do these things? Do you have to do them on Monday? Maybe you have to do them on Tuesday and Friday, right? You can have things kick off on multiple days. Maybe it's monthly, the first of the month, the 10th of the month, the 17th of the month, the first and the 15th, right? Payroll, whatever you want to do, just have it kick off automatically. Quarterly, the same thing. Then, of course, annually, the exact same thing.
Steve, I think what's so great about this is you can then also, I mean, to your point, when you were talking about your CE and Surge, you can look at these calendars and sort of say, like, oh, I have a huge gap in June. That's when I'm going to be driving back and forth to the cabin. I'm going to schedule this there because I can take advantage of that time. In the same way that we could say, like, hey, end of year is looking really busy. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in December. How do we start taking some stuff out of that box? Where could we move it? Where's the hole of, gosh, there's really just nothing going on in April. There's nothing going on in May. Can we move some stuff to that time to free up a little bit of our capacity?
For sure. So yeah, exactly. This helps you do right workflow or load management, workload management. Helps you make sure that things are just taken care of. Also, a story that I have to share. A couple of years I got audited, and when I did, a meeting with the state of Minnesota, my primary regulator, and he was asking me questions like, how do you ensure that your clients' investments are in line with their investment policy statement? And I told the gentleman, I said, well, every week we do drift reporting. He goes, okay, well, tell me about that process. I said, well, Black Diamond is the portfolio management tool that we use. And, we go in there, and of course, by we, I mean my mom. My mom goes in there because I've built the report that I want her to review. And she knows if anything hits it, that she needs to tell me, right? If anybody's out of the tolerance bands that I set, she knows to tell me. I'm like, so she goes in, we go in there, we run that report. And if there's anything on it, um, We get the second step in the workflow. If there's nothing on it, we close that workflow, we attach it, and we move on. And he goes, okay, well, how do you know to do that every week? Like, what if you forget a week? I'm like, well, we don't. He's like, how don't you forget a week? I'm like, well, because a workflow kicks off in my system automatically on every Monday. And my mom has to get that done by Wednesday. And then I have to get any action items done by Friday. And he was kind of flabbergasted. He kept asking me follow up questions. Like, how do you make sure it happens? What if it doesn't happen? I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, it has to happen. And I finally said, can I share my screen? And what I'm going to show you right now is the next level of this. So imagine every single time that drift reporting gets kicked off on a Monday, it's getting it's getting tied. You don't know this. You're not feeling, you don't do anything for this to happen, except in the onset, you just tie it to this. But in my example, I was talking about drift reporting. Well, in this example, we're talking about QuickBooks review, but the exact same concept. How are you ensuring it gets done? Well, imagine every single time this task gets done, it goes into a little filing cabinet hidden away in Quivr where you can find it if you need it, but otherwise you don't even really know it's there. And over here, you can actually see every single time it's been done. So with this regulator, I went to my drift reporting instance, right? The thing that said drift reporting, not just QuickBooks, and I clicked view all. And he could see like 2 years worth of drift reporting workflows. And I said they just get kicked off. Notice it's every 7 days. Every 7 days it gets kicked off. He's like, well, what if there's two? I'm like, well, that means that there was an issue and I had to go resolve it. Well, what did you do? So I clicked into the task, and attached to this workflow, there was the drift report. He could see everything. After a couple of minutes, he he then goes, "That's great. Can you tell me how you do your ADV?" And I smiled and I said, "Well, every first of the year, my ADV workflow gets kicked off." And he goes, "Well, what if it doesn't?" I'm like, "It does." And he goes, "Okay, well, how do you document that you did everything?" And I said, "Can I share my screen?" I came into compliant, right? I went back to the exact same section that I was in. I went to my firm household, which is where this stuff gets stored. I clicked on compliance. I scrolled down. I went and I found my annual ADV distribution. And over here on the right was every single time I've ever sent my ADV. He chuckled and he said, "I think I understand the theme of this." He asked me about 10 or 15 more items, and I shared my screen and I showed him every single time it got done. So now, not only do I, and again, we're not giving compliance advice or anything like that, but now I can sit here and I know that every single time QuickBooks is reviewed, I can 2 clicks away from seeing every single instance of that getting done. I can go look at every time I've done my CFP CE. So if I get audited by the CFP board to confirm my CFP CE, I actually have something in Quivr that attaches every single one of my years CE with all of the little certifications of completion. So they're right there. My audit by the CFP board, assuming I just have to send them certification of CE, I could have that. Well, actually, I'd have my mom do it. We would have it done in 15 minutes. So I love this. This is why this is my favorite screen. Tear it apart with.
No, it's super powerful. I mean, it's kind of the combination of what are we doing? How are we doing it? What are we recording in terms of the data that we got it done? Like you're putting everything to your point, like neatly in that file cabinet. And it's for the clients, it's for what we're doing on the firm, it's for the advisors at the firm, the things that they need to do. Like the more that you put into it, the more you end up getting out of it. And that to me is what's so powerful about these systems is, CRM is a lot of people use CRM as just it's my Rolodex and it keeps a couple of one-off type tasks, but it can be so much more if you're just willing to give a little bit of that effort as you get it spun up. And I think the nice thing about this particular calendar view is you get to see like when is all of this stuff happening. It's right there in front of you. It's not hidden away. It's not like when does that thing run? Like how do I remember when that happens? Like you don't have to. It's all just right there. And you've shown not only to like, maybe you're at a large firm, so you've got your, C-suite and everybody's talking about when are we going to do all this stuff? When do we have time to do this new initiative? Here's where I go look. Or you're an advisor in the firm. I know I'm supposed to do this with my clients. When am I supposed to do it? Great, here it is too. Like it really becomes kind of the guide to the work that you're doing every year.
Percent. It frees up that mental energy. It just does. And once you get a couple built, it is addicting. Like
Yeah.
quarterly data integrity. All right, data is so important. I want to make sure that our data, because our data drives everything. It just does. So every quarter, I built a couple of reports and dashboards years ago of all of the data fields that I want perfect for our clients. And every quarter, on the first of the quarter, a workflow gets kicked off for my mom to go scrub it and make sure it is perfect. And if things aren't, she fixes it. And if she has questions, she schedules a meeting with me. And in 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I tell her what needs to get fixed. She'll say, I thought this guy retired, or didn't these people move, or does this person still work there? I don't think they do, right? Whatever that might be. And I tell you what, this morning she scheduled an appointment. She put something on my calendar called a team meeting called the data integrity. It's tomorrow morning at 9:30. Today's January 6th. I'm meeting with her tomorrow morning at 8 or 9:30, and we're going to go through those things. And I'll tell you what, I had no idea why she put something on my calendar until I clicked on the event. Like, why does she want to meet tomorrow? This makes new quarter, data integrity. And if it
This
wasn't
is
on,
running.
right? And if it wasn't in Quivr, if it wasn't automatically getting kicked off on the first of the quarter, do you think it would get done? No, not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like it's time blocking on steroids. I mean, it's holding yourself accountable to the things that you want to do and the things that you have said are important to your business, your firm, your clients, whichever one you want to check, and then saying, "Here's when we're going to do it. It's on my calendar now, whether I like it or not." And that can be so powerful once you start practicing in that way, because now these things that I'll do that next week. It's not a big deal.
Well, what's interesting
Yep.
about that comment, I'll do it next week. Think of the power structure in an advisory firm, right? In a two-person firm, owner and admin, the power structure is probably pretty obvious. If I say we need to do something, well, assuming it's morally and ethically and legally allowed, right? We more or less need to do it, right? Like data integrity. If I deem data integrity important, it's going to get done. But what's interesting, and I'm very intentional about this. If step one of that workflow needed to be done by me, do you think I would have done it already? Not a chance. And if the last step is done by me, am I going to be in a rush to get it done? Not a
Easy to put it
chance.
off.
Not a
Yeah,
chance. So by design, almost every single one of these workflows on the system start and end with my mom.
with
That
someone
way,
else.
she's held accountable because I said we need to do it to get it started. And then I'm held accountable because she's waiting on me to get it done. So I know my weakness. My weakness is I'll look at that data integrity and I'll say, that can get pushed off until next week and then next week and then next week. And the next thing you know, I'm in the second quarter and I never did it. Or she's going to say, no, Steve needs me to do that this week. So I have to get it done. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to say, crap, she's waiting on me, or she put something on my calendar. I have to get her the information she needs to finish this project, right? So it's interesting, like you can identify your weaknesses, which one of my weaknesses is that I'm really good at getting things to 80% or knowing what I want done. Sometimes I struggle at getting across the finish line when it comes to these things. But it's just
Yep.
interesting, right? You learn where things fall through the cracks and you can process your way out of that.
You really can. Yeah, you really can. And I mean, whether it's coming from like a, checklist manifesto mindset of these are easy things for us to skip, or if it is just something that I don't like doing this and so I'm going to put it off, or to your point, like this is just something where, this for me is a weakness and I'm going to go and try and figure out a way to get around that. Like there's so much power here, and it is very obvious once you start talking about it, like why this is such a favorite button of yours, favorite thing to click in Quiver. But at the same time, I do think you're right. I think that there's probably, there's a lot of room for other firms to start getting benefit from this as well.
For sure.
More uptake of it. Yeah.
For sure. And I'll tell you what though, I don't think I've ever seen a firm share their screen with me and the calendar view has like 5 things. It always either has like 1 or 2 or 0 or a
Or
couple
just a
dozen,
ton.
a
Yeah.
ton. Because it's like you get over that hump and you understand, like it clicks. It just clicks. You're like, this is addicting. If I put it in there, I stop thinking about it and I know it gets done. Like once it clicks, people just keep going and going and going and going. Right. Like with Minnesota. Minnesota just started the IARCE maybe this year or last year, but Wisconsin
Mm-hmm.
was first. So when the Minnesota did theirs, I actually forwarded the email to my mom, said, create a process, make it do the same day as Wisconsin, make it the exact same thing. Just get it on there because I now have to report it to 2 people. And I forgot about it until June 15th. It kicked off for me. All right. Well, that's enough about my favorite button. If you are a Quiver user and this is a feature that you're not as aware of, hit up the community. We have a handful of master classes on this from zero to hero on processes where we talk about this. We also have a mastering the firm record where we talk about things like the the drift reporting story that I shared, like the QuickBooks screen share that we showed, walking you through every single step of this. My hope is that if you know nothing about processes, automations, the calendar view, you can have your first one built probably in a half hour. And after you build a couple of them, you'll be knocking these things out in a few minutes, 2 to 3, 5 minutes tops. If you're not a Quiver user and you are simply tired of using Excel spreadsheets and posted notes or maybe the whiteboard to track things, don't worry. It's not too late. You are not the only person that has this issue, but don't worry. We're here to help. Schedule a demo, hang out with me, hang out with Will, and see what Quiver can do for you and for